I'm Annabelle Thornton, and I never thought I'd be the one to unravel my own marriage like a skein of yarn caught in a southern storm. Here I was, in our cozy Atlanta kitchen, slicing peaches for a cobbler, Levi's favorite, mind you, when I heard it. A whisper, low and sweet, drifting from his phone like honeysuckle on a summer breeze. "Can't wait to see you, darlin'," he murmured, his voice dripping with a tenderness I hadn't heard since our early days. My knife froze mid-slice, juice dripping onto the counter. Who was he talking to like that? Our suburban home, nestled among oak-lined streets, was my sanctuary. I'm a financial analyst, crunching numbers by day at a consulting firm downtown, where my colleagues call me Sunshine for my knack at keeping calm under pressure. Growing up in a small Georgia town, I learned to smile through pain. My daddy passed when I was 10, leaving mama to raise me with grit and grace. That resilience got me through college at Georgia State, a stable career, and 12 years of marriage to Levi. We tried for kids, but after years of tests and tears, we settled into a quiet life with our golden retriever, Jasper, who's sprawled at my feet as I cook. Levi, my husband, is a marketing director at a tech startup. He's got that Charlotte-born charm, all easy smiles and ambition, but lately, something's shifted. New tailored suits from Joss A. Bank, a bottle of Creed cologne that costs more than my monthly car payment, and his phone glued to his hand like it's part of his skin. Tonight, as I stirred the cobbler filling, I tiptoed toward his home office to ask if he wanted vanilla ice cream with dessert. That's when I heard it again. "Tomorrow, our spot, okay?" I'm counting the minutes. My heart thudded like a drum at a Georgia Bulldogs game. I leaned against the wall, the scent of peaches now cloying. I stepped into his office and Levi fumbled his phone, pretending to check emails. "Who are you talking to?" I asked, keeping my voice light as sweet tea. "Oh, just a client in Nashville," he said, eyes darting to the floor. "They're pushing me on this campaign." His lie was as flimsy as a paper napkin. Clients don't get called darlin' with that kind of warmth. I nodded, smiling, but inside, my mind was racing like the Chattahoochee River after a storm. Back in the kitchen, I set his world's best husband mug, a 10th anniversary gift, on the counter and stared at it. Levi used to be predictable, home by 6, devouring my shrimp and grits, laughing over reruns of The Office. But for 2 months now, he's been different. That cologne, sharp and musky, lingers when he walks in. His closet's bursting with new suits he claims are client gifts. And his phone? He used to holler, "Annabelle, find my phone," from the couch. Now he clutches it, bolting to the patio even in Atlanta's sticky heat to take calls. "Work confidentiality," he mumbled last week when I asked why he's so secretive. Confidentiality, my foot. I sipped my iced coffee, the Marble Island cool under my elbows, and let the pieces fall into place. This wasn't just a midlife crisis, no Harley Davidson or leather jacket for Levi. This was her. Someone he was sneaking around with, someone he spoke to with a softness he hadn't given me in years. My chest ached, not just from betrayal, but from the realization I'd been playing the perfect wife, ignoring the cracks in our life. I wasn't ready to confront him, not yet. But as I slid the cobbler into the oven, I vowed to find out who Darlin was and turn this drama into my own script. Every morning, I'd wake to the hum of Atlanta's suburbs, birds chirping, Jasper's tail thumping against the hardwood. I'd head to my firm, balancing spreadsheets and client calls, then race home to cook Levi's favorites, fried chicken, collards, or tonight's peach cobbler. Our life was like a well-rehearsed play. Predictable, comfortable, with Jasper as our only audience. But now, that whisper I overheard last night gnawed at me, exposing the fault lines I'd ignored. Levi's changes weren't sudden, they'd crept in like kudzu. 2 months ago, I noticed his new Creed cologne, its scent so strong it drowned out my lavender candles. "Client gift," he said when I raised an eyebrow. Then came the suits, crisp, tailored, not the off-the-rack kind he used to wear. "The startup's doing well," he shrugged, but our joint account hadn't seen any extra deposits. And his phone habits? He'd leap for it like it was a winning lottery ticket, texting on our patio even when Georgia's humidity made his shirt cling. "Work stuff," he'd mutter, brushing off my questions. I sat at our kitchen island, Jasper nuzzling my knee, and replayed last night's lie. Nashville client, he'd said, but no client gets that syrupy tone. I thought of my mama, who'd say, Annabelle, trust your gut, it's smarter than your heart. My gut screamed affair. Not with his boss, Linda, a no-nonsense woman pushing 60. This was someone else, someone Levi wanted to impress with his new look and late-night calls. I wasn't naive, I'd seen enough Real Housewives of Atlanta to know the signs. But the hurt wasn't just his cheating, it was that I'd let our life become a routine, cooking and smiling while he drifted. Weekends used to be ours: brunch at the Flying Biscuit, walks with Jasper in Piedmont Park. Now, Levi was distracted, checking his phone during our Netflix binges. I'd ask about his day, hoping for the old gossip about his startup's quirky coders, but he'd just say, busy, Annabelle. You know how it is. I did know. I knew the late nights, the client dinners, the way he'd linger in the shower, washing off more than just the day. My heart sank, but I kept my sunshine smile, not ready to let him see my suspicion. I needed proof, and I needed a plan to take back my story. Lila Harper has been my best friend since our Georgia State days, where we'd stay up late in our dorm, dreaming over sweet tea and bad rom-coms. She's all charm and chaos, flitting from one failed venture to another: boutique owner, yoga instructor, now an event planner, with an Instagram full of glitzy photos, but no paying clients. Lila's the kind of person who lights up a room, then accidentally sets it on fire. Still, I loved her like a sister, even when she'd breeze into our Atlanta home, leaving a trail of glitter and drama. One Saturday, Lila dropped by to show off her latest vision board for her event planning gig. We sat on the porch, sipping rose, while Jasper lounged nearby. Levi was upstairs, supposedly napping, but I caught his muffled voice through the window, that same tender tone. Kitten, you forgot something here. I'll bring it tomorrow. My stomach twisted. I glanced at the hallway and saw it, a Coral Kate spade scarf, slung over a chair. Lila had worn it at our last barbecue, when Levi couldn't stop complimenting her vibrant energy. I'd meant to text her about it, but now it clicked like a lock snapping shut. Kitten. The word burned. Lila, with her designer heels and flirty laugh, was the affair. I pictured them at that barbecue, Levi's eyes lingering on her, her giggles a little too bright. How long had this been going on right under my nose? I kept my smile plastered on as Lila rambled about her latest client pitch, but my mind was a storm. I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. Not only at Levi for betraying me, but at Lila, my so-called sister, for crossing a line I never thought she'd touch. I loaded the dishwasher, the clink of plates drowning out her chatter, and decided I wouldn't cry or scream. I'd outsmart them both. The next morning, as I brewed coffee, Lila called, her voice a mix of desperation and charm. Annabelle, my event planning thing's tanking. Nobody wants a $2,000 wedding photo shoot. Got any leads at your business park? Her words were a spark, igniting a plan so clear it felt like fate. I remembered Levi at that barbecue, calling Lila a vision. If they wanted to play in the shadows, I'd drag their affair into the spotlight. Actually, I said, my voice as sweet as pecan pie, Levi's startup needs an event coordinator. Good pay, benefits, the works. Why don't you apply? Lila squealed. Seriously? What's the salary? I rattled off the details. $5,000 a month, health insurance, 401k. Come by tonight, talk to Levi. I'll make your favorite peach cobbler. I hung up, my heart pounding with a mix of rage and excitement. Lila's chaos was legendary. She tanked every job with her laziness and flair for drama. Getting her into Levi's company wasn't just revenge. It was a masterclass in letting their own flaws unravel them. I'd play the perfect wife, all smiles and support while they dug their own graves. That evening, Lila arrived, a vision in skinny jeans and a plunging silk top, her makeup camera ready. Levi's jaw dropped when he saw her, like a kid spotting a new toy. Hey, Dan, she purred, settling at our dining table. Annabelle says you've got a job opening. I watched him wrestle with himself, thrilled at the prospect of Lila nearby, nervous about the risk. Yeah, he said, flashing his salesman grin. We need creative energy. Come by tomorrow, 9 a.m. We'll get you set up. I sipped my iced tea, hiding my smirk. The stage was set, and I was the director of this southern drama. Lila started at Levi's startup the next week, and for a while, it was like watching a rom-com I'd scripted myself. They'd leave together in Levi's sleek Audi, him in his new suits, her in outfits that screamed, "Look at me." I played my part, packing them mason jars of kale smoothies and waving from the porch like a Stepford wife. "Y'all have a great day," I'd call, Jasper wagging beside me. Inside, I was cataloging every glance, every laugh. Levi was on cloud 9, thinking he'd pulled off the perfect double life, work with his mistress, home with his clueless wife. I'd ask Levi about Lila's first days, all innocent curiosity. "She's a natural," he'd say, eyes bright. "Got big ideas for our client events." I nodded, stirring gumbo on the stove, but I knew Lila's big ideas usually ended in chaos. She'd once planned a friend's wedding and forgot to book the venue. Now she was in Levi's world, where her charm wouldn't cover her sloppy work for long. I felt a thrill, not just at their inevitable downfall, but at my own control. I wasn't the betrayed wife sobbing into a pillow. I was Annabelle Thornton, rewriting the script, and this act was just the warm-up. 3 weeks in, the cracks started showing, just as I'd hoped. Levi came home one night, his face sour as day-old sweet tea. Lila botched a client event, he grumbled, tossing his keys on the counter. Sent the wrong menu to the caterer, vegan clients got barbecue. The CEO's livid. I poured him a bourbon, all sympathy. "Oh, honey, she's new. Give her time." Inside, I was grinning. Lila's chaos was working faster than I'd expected, and Levi was caught in the crossfire. Lila called me the next day, whining over lunch. "Annabelle, Levi's so mean now. He snapped at me for being late again." I pictured her pouting, mascara smudged. "I can't get to the office by 8:30. Traffic's a nightmare." I bit back a laugh. "Maybe set an earlier alarm, Lila. Corporate life's tough." I hung up, savoring the irony. She thought she could charm her way through Levi's startup, but her sloppy habits were piling up like unpaid bills. My plan was humming along, and I was content to sit back, stir my coffee, and watch their perfect affair crumble under the weight of reality. A month later, Levi was a walking thundercloud. He stormed in one evening, slamming his laptop bag down. "Lila's a disaster," he growled. She mixed up the client pitch slides, used last quarter's data. We looked like amateurs in front of investors. I widened my eyes, all innocence. "Can't you coach her, hon? She's got potential." He snorted, pacing. "Potential? She can't even spell strategy right." I handed him a plate of fried catfish, hiding my satisfaction. Lila's mistakes were chipping away at his patience, and I was the puppet master pulling the strings. Lila's calls grew frantic. "Annabelle, I'm drowning. Levi won't even look at me in meetings." He let the CFO tear my report apart. I cooed sympathetically, "Don't quit, Lila. Show 'em you're serious." I wanted her to stay, to keep unraveling Levi's world. Every missed deadline, every wrong email, was another nail in their affair's coffin. I felt powerful, not just because they were falling apart, but because I'd turned my pain into a plan. Jasper nuzzled my hand, as if he knew I was winning this game, one calculated move at a time. 6 weeks in, the dam broke. Levi came home early one day, pale as a ghost. "Lila's out," he hissed, collapsing onto the couch. "Fired." The CEO himself signed the order. I feigned shock, setting down my coffee. "What happened?" He ran a hand through his hair. "She missed a deadline for our biggest client, $6 million deal, gone." Then she had a meltdown in a team meeting, screaming I promised her a promotion, a life together. Said we were in love. My heart raced, but I kept my face calm. "In love? That's wild." Lila called me that night, sobbing. "Annabelle, they fired me. Levi didn't defend me after everything." I gasped, all fake concern. "Everything? Lila, what's going on?" She hesitated, then spilled. "We got close. He said he'd leave you, move to Miami with me." I let the silence hang, my anger simmering beneath my southern charm. The office was buzzing. Lila's outburst had exposed their affair to the entire company, including the CEO. My plan had worked better than I dreamed. Their fantasy was in ashes, and I was the one holding the match, cool and collected. The next evening, Levi paced our living room, muttering about damage control at work. I set a glass of bourbon on the table and dropped the bomb. "I know about you and Lila," I said, my voice steady as a Georgia oak. His face froze. "And I got her that job to see how long your little fling would last in the real world." He sank into a chair, eyes wide. "You? What?" I smiled, cool as a cucumber. "I called a divorce lawyer today. House is worth $900,000. We'll split it fair, and I'm keeping Jasper." Levi stammered, "Annabelle, I didn't mean for this to happen." I leaned back, sipping my drink. "You wanted a double life, Levi. I just made it easier. Convenient, right?" He buried his face in his hands, the weight of his choices crushing him. I wasn't angry anymore, just done. I'd turned their betrayal into my triumph, and it felt like justice. "No need to explain," I said, standing. "I've got a realtor coming tomorrow. Let's keep this civil." For the first time in months, I felt free, like the sun breaking through Atlanta's morning fog. 2 weeks later, Levi packed his suits and bourbon glasses, leaving the house keys on the kitchen counter with a note. "Thanks for keeping it quiet." I didn't need his thanks. I'd played my hand and won. No screaming, no tears, just a clean break. Lila blocked me on Instagram, even deleted our old college photos, as if erasing me would rewrite her mistakes. I didn't care. Truth was on my side, and I felt no regret for turning their affair into a lesson they'd never forget. I met with a realtor to list our house, its oak-shaded porch and memories of peach cobbler nights now just a chapter closing. Savannah was calling, a city of moss-draped squares and salty breezes, where I could start fresh. Jasper and I would walk the cobblestone streets, maybe open a small financial consulting business. I'd always loved Savannah's charm, its promise of reinvention. As I packed boxes, Jasper's tail thumped, like he knew we were headed for brighter days. My heart, once heavy with betrayal, now felt light, ready to write a new story. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through heartbreak, strategy, and sweet revenge. If my story stirred something in you, hit that subscribe button and join us, where every twist and turn serves up a tale of grit, grace, and starting over. Keep chasing your own truth, and I'll meet you on the next adventure.